Hello, I'm Brian Patrick. Welcome to Fifth Third Business Beat for this Friday, February 27th, 2009. On page one of the Business Courier this week, a couple who've spent their entire lives in Over the Rhine find themselves in a battle with Cincinnati Public Schools over their property. Their home on East McMicken Avenue backs up to Rothenburg Elementary School, which the school district wants to renovate and expand. Millard Woods says an attorney for the school district called asking how much he wanted for his three-story home. When he said he wasn't interested in selling, he says the attorney told him the home could be taken from him. Since then, school officials have told neighborhood activists they probably wouldn't need additional property for the Rothenburg expansion, but Woods has heard nothing official.
I don't have a dollar amount. I don't want to move. I live where I want to live. I live here because I feel like I want to, not because I'm being forced to. It's not that I couldn't have moved out years ago. But I work close, my family is close, you know, it's a great place.
The school district already owns a condemned building next door to Woods' home and two more buildings east of the home that it would like to demolish. The building next door actually touches Woods' house, and he's concerned if it's razed, his home could be damaged in the process. Procter & Gamble may have to put off selling its $2.2 billion pharmaceutical business until next year. There is little financing in the acquisitions market, and P&G has a lack of blockbuster drugs in its portfolio that make it attractive to buyers. The largest drug, Actonel, treats osteoporosis, and though it has had more than $1 billion in sales, its market share has declined. That's due in part to rising generic drug sales. Analysts estimate that the business would sell for $3 to $4 billion. Two of the largest RE/MAX franchises in the city are merging, and once united, they will have 475 agents who generated more than $850 million last year. RE/MAX Unlimited in Sycamore Township and RE/MAX Results Plus in Mason will begin operating under the RE/MAX Unlimited name on Monday. Robert Neal and Pete Duffy, owners of Results Plus, will transfer their corporate licenses to the RE/MAX Unlimited Enterprise, which is owned by Ken Parchman and Mike Wolfert. The men hope the move will help them increase their share in a declining market.
Well, if you take RE/MAX Results Plus, 240 people, and RE/MAX Unlimited's 240 people, and take their production, combine them, it moves us solidly into a number 2 position at about 15.5%. So we see that as a strong marketing powerhouse that will help our sellers, help our agents, and we see this as a strategy to help us survive and thrive in this difficult environment that we're all in.
No money changed hands in the merger. All four partners will manage the business jointly. Back to the front page of the Business Courier now, a story by John Newberry on some jobs coming to the Tri-State. John, Emerson Power Transmission is going to be adding jobs. How did this come about?
Well, a couple years ago, they moved their headquarters here. The economic development officials over in Northern Kentucky were involved with that move, and apparently they had a lot of extra space in their facility there. They just made an acquisition, an Italian company, in December, and now they're moving some of those jobs from various facilities around the country to Northern Kentucky to take up that extra space.
How many people do they plan to hire, and when will the hiring start?
They've said 92 jobs is the number they put on it, but it's around 90 jobs. They're going to start construction on the facility in the spring and expect to finish it by the end of the year, and they'll start reviewing applications this summer. So presumably by the end of the year they should be hiring people.
What kind of jobs are they?
It's a manufacturing job, a lot of CNC, computer-controlled equipment, so operators for the equipment, supervisors, managers, pretty much the whole thing.
Also, Armor Group in Mason adding some jobs. What can you tell us about that?
Armor is a manufacturer in Mason, and they have a plant in Madison, Indiana, which they're closing. They said that plant has had declining business for a couple years now. Most of their stuff is made for the government and the military. So they decided to close that plant and shift those operations to Mason, consolidate there.
And how many people do you think they'll hire?
They've been talking 110 jobs up there, and they also talked with economic development officials of the state and the county there, so they were all involved with some tax incentives and things like that.
How big a deal were the tax incentives in this development?
I think they're always pretty important. They help lower the total cost of the move and make the numbers work better. In Armour's case, the county is providing some job training and job screening things, which also contributes, and just helps make the deal come through.
Good to get a little positive news. Thanks, John Newberry.
Sure.
Be sure to read John's story on the front page of this week's Business Courier. Here's the Courier Greater Cincinnati Stock Index. We tracked the performance of about 40 local stocks compared with the broader market using the Dow Jones Wilshire 5000 Index. The market plummeted again last week. The local index lost about 9.4%. That was better than the overall market's 10.3% plunge. Feeding cattle can be costly. Patricia McGeever reports if a farmer supplements his herd's diet with a special treat he gets for free, the savings pay off in more ways than one.
The sound of this tractor is like a dinner bell to this herd of cattle. The moment they hear it, they start to move. The procession starts slowly, but as the main course is dished out,
here they come running, here they're coming running.
It's every girl for herself, as each wants to be the first at the trough. So what is it that makes the cattle change gears from their swaying gait to an all-out run? Brewer's grain. Grain that was used to make beer.
I know they really enjoy, different things and different types of grain. And we had actually cooked grain for our fair animals when I was in 4-H. And we knew that it went over really well and they gained well on it, and we just thought we'd give it a try.
This is a story about businesses benefiting each other and about recycling, and it starts here at the Mount Carmel Brewing Company.
In order to make beer, you need barley, malted barley. Then we actually add hot water. That's called the mash. That's when the starches convert to sugars, and at that point you extract your wort, which is your unfermented beer.
Mount Carmel Brewing Company has expanded its operation, as was recently reported in the Business Courier, and more brewing means more spent grain. After the excess water is drained, there is half a ton of grain left in this vat. The brewer met the farmer through a mutual friend and decided to try an arrangement. So after brewing, Mike Dewey unloads the grain into these cans. Each one holds about 500 pounds, and Brian Hazelbaker picks it up each week, 4 cans to a trip. It's a long haul from Mount Carmel to Hazelbaker's Adams County farm, but it's paying off.
Their daily diet consists of orchard grass, hay that we bale during the summertime. And the brewer's grain has allowed us to cut back on the amount of hay that we've given them per day. So that's been a plus for us. It's been really a lifesaver due to the past 2 years being so dry. It's helped us cut our hay bill in half for these animals here. It's allowed us to run twice as many animals on half as much pasture.
Only 14 of Hazelbaker's 60 head get the grain. Though neither of them has tasted it, Dewey and Hazelbaker say the grain is sweet, like cereal. It has barely any alcohol content, so the cows aren't getting buzzed. They are getting some extra nutrients, though. Hazelbaker is getting free feed, and Dewey is getting rid of a byproduct, free.
We would actually have to pay to dispose of it, and then it would end up in a landfill.
Despite some pushing and shoving, mealtime for this all-natural herd is orderly. It takes about a half an hour to lick the trough clean. As the brewing company expands, Brian hopes to get more grain. He'd eventually like to feed it to all 60 brood cows. Brian?
Thanks, Patricia. They say
Watch Fifth Third Business Beat Fridays at 7:30 p.m. on CET or online anytime at cetconnect.org.
The Business Courier, Greater Cincinnati's dominant provider of breaking business news. More than 50,000 readers each week depend on the Business Courier for information to help grow their businesses and stay ahead of the competition.